Had a bit of an early morning. Today's my son's stagia, so we always start a little bit earlier as I help him get his lunch prepared and everything. For those that don't know, stagia is like an internship kind of thing. He does that once a week as part of his schooling. Anywho, no real big plans today. Gonna move a few things from one plot to another, and I think we'll probably tinker around on the new forest painting that I'm working on for Cheeky. Good morning, Cheeky. Glad you could join us. Before we get started, though, I just wanted to mention that for those of you that weren't aware, which I'm pretty sure most people are by now, there are some new decor packs on the cash shop. There is the decorative flame decor pack, which gives you different colored fires. There's the blue, the red or crimson, green, and then a bluish yellow, which is kind of a blend into, it looks a little bit more magical and sparkly. So 4 fires in the set for only 40 omnibits or 80 N coin. Not too bad, I think. It's basically 10 per. Hey Faye, good morning. And then there's the, how do you get back to the smoke decor, which there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 7 different types of smoke in this set for the same price as the other, so slightly better deal depending on how you look at it. There's the white, the chimney, which is a little bit more, this one's puffier, a little bit more lazy feeling, and this one's a little bit stronger and pretty much straight up. Then there's the yellow version of that. Then there are a couple of clouds, which is green, and then there's also an orange one, and then a smoke pillar black. Already been seeing some screenshots of people using them for their city plots and other things. Just a word of mention that these are categorized as special decor, so if you are capped or near capped on your special decor items, which I guess that includes NPCs and things like that, then you may want to think long and hard about putting it on a plot that is in that situation, because these are considered special. And since we are still kind of limited pretty tightly on how many special items we can put on our plot, that's an issue for some. I know, like I have currently almost 30 out of 50. And I think that's primarily the NPCs that I have sitting around. So for those of you with plots that are really heavily populated with NPC characters, which would include the mounts and the pets and things like that, you might have to weigh on whether or not you want to get rid of 1 or 2 of those to be able to use some of the new smokes, or just forgo that altogether. Morning, Maddie. Glad you could join us. But for the price, I think it's a fair amount for having some extra special effects. We've been asking for this type of decor for a long time. I know for many that is kind of disappointing that it's taken so long to get here, and then now that they're here, they're marked as special, and that kind of limits it as to who can use them and on what plot and everything. But as with anything that comes with housing, there's going to be limitations and special rules, and part of our job as builders is to kind of find ways to work around it. There's always going to be obstacles we have to overcome, and part of the challenge, and I know it's not exactly entertaining and fun for everybody, but part of the challenge is learning how to work around those obstacles. It's like before we got winter decor or water decor, we had builders galore figuring out ways to create winter plots and water elements uh, out of other things. And I think that really shows how if you're creative enough and are adamant about having a certain type of element, you can find ways to get there, even if you don't have exactly what you're looking for. Um, Even now, I think once the water decor popped up, it doesn't suit every particular type of need. So we still resort to a lot of the fake water out of necessity and out of sometimes it just looks better and you don't get the sound and all of that. Oh, yes, thank you. I have it ready and I just forgot, but thank you. I'm so bad at that. I need like a little, like a post-it that says, don't forget to tweet because I'm so bad about that. Yeah, the smoke can be used for cooking areas, instead of always having to use that bubbling cauldron that comes with the loud sound effects. Now you can have cooking. I've seen people using it as smog effects for their trains or spaceships and motorcycles. You could use it to create your own. We've got that chair with the cigar on it. Maybe you can fashion your own cigar and have it actually a separate item rather than always using that chair. Um, hey Jazzy, glad you could join us. So yeah, there's things that you got to take into consideration when you're adding new elements, especially these kinds, since most of the particle effects seem to be categorized as special. You just kind of have to weigh, do you really want or have to have NPCs? Do you want to change that out with the smoke? For those of us that don't really load our plots up with specials, probably these would be really nice. But yeah, I think the smokes can be resized just like any of the other elements. I've actually bought a couple of packs, but I haven't used them yet because I'm not sure what character I want to put them on. Otherwise, I'd go ahead and show that. Hey Zodi, good morning. Glad you could join us. Um, Another thing I wanted to talk about, and we can discuss that as we kind of move on, is there's a topic in the forums about uh, some of the builders that are fairly well known and have really promoted housing all along are getting the feeling that they're burnt out. And I was curious as to what you guys felt in that regard. Do you feel burnt out on housing? Are you kind of in a slump? Um, I know it's probably a case by case basis. I mean, there's probably different things that would cause someone to feel like they've, you know, don't have anything else to do. It's always been weird for me. I'll hear guildmates or something say, I feel like there's nothing else to do in the game. I've done it all. It's like, really? Have you? I was just curious, though. I actually replied to the topic to kind of say where I'm sitting on the subject, but I think I mean, I sympathize with those that feel frustrated that a lot of the items are harder to get. And I tried to explain that why I don't feel I'm hampered by that so much is because I tend to build straight from the housing vendor. I think most of you know that I kind of favor that just because it's easier to get a hold of. But I don't know. Is that how some of you guys feel? I mean, is that the way you do you feel like you've done all you think you can do? I can understand like a form of burnout. I think you get that with any aspect of the game in any game, really, depending on how long you've been playing it. Uh, I think it's smart to take breaks when you feel like that. Um, back off of, if it's, it's like a rating. I did that for many years, not really hardcore rating, but, 3 or 4 nights a week. And I just got to the point where I didn't enjoy it anymore. And if you don't enjoy something, if it feels like it becomes a job or an obligation, then yeah, that's pretty clear clue that you need to back off of it. Um, yeah, Zodi, exactly. I can understand that, but I don't know. I think their biggest complaints, the one that posted the topic, was um, the difficulty in acquiring items for housing, um, the lack of community support from Carbine, which I agree with. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Breaks are always a good thing. I just figure it's more like sometimes you just have to step back a little bit. You get a new perspective, um, and all that kind of stuff. And uh, that's one of the reasons why I enjoy touring other people's places. It gives me a break from mine. Or I like doing these little goofy projects that's just kind of off the wall and has nothing related to any major build that I have going on. It helps, I don't know, mix up my head a little bit so that I'm not focused on one thing. 'Cause especially like if something's giving me trouble and I'm trying to figure out how to build it or something, sometimes it helps to just switch train of thought. Well, that's a personal opinion, Jazzy. Uh, I I hate to say that I hate to see it when people feel discouraged because they feel like they're not good enough. There's all skills, all levels, all styles. I found it funny that the person that responded to me in the forums labeled my building as natural builds. I have no idea what that means. Does that mean I only build like landscape stuff? Which those of you that know me know I don't do that. Um, I think what they mean is I don't do spaceship stuff, which is pretty much true. I kind of steer clear of those. I'm just not mechanically inclined. But I don't know. I have no idea what that means, natural build. Anyway, those of you that saw the last couple of videos, you saw that I made a new bed. So I'm going to move that bed to this bed shop because it's in desperate need of something new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new display here. And I don't really know the scale of how I built it on Dill's plot, so I'm going to have to just kind of, I'll probably have to shrink it down a bit. What do you guys think would help? I mean, with those of you that are experiencing burnout or are really feeling like things are so difficult to obtain, um, what do you think Carbine could do to improve that or to spark your imagination again? I know one thing when I do building, I don't count on getting those hard to get items. I build as if I will never get those. If I do, fantastic, I will add them. It's like the spring plot. I built that with no inclination that I was going to get any of that new spring decor pack decor. I just built everything up. And when it did come out, and I did purchase it, I considered it just extras. And I worked with, I only bought one pack. I didn't go overboard and buy like dozens because I had to have, 50 of a certain piece. But I just kind of incorporated those into what I already had. But it would have been fine if I hadn't got a hold of it. It still would have worked. Morning, Bones. Glad you could join us. But I'm just curious what you guys feel. I mean, is it just to have free decor on a regular basis, or I think the biggest problem I have is with alts, especially those that need reputation vendor decor. Because I consider reputation vendors accessible to everybody eventually, even if it's not straight away. But for alts, it's tougher because I don't want to have to be forced to level up an alt just to get to a certain reputation. I feel like if I've already done it with my main, I should have access to it in some way. You know, if it's even if it's I can buy it with reputation with my main character and send it to, have it account bound, and I can send it to my alt. That would work for me. Yeah, well, for me, Maddie, it's just like um, like NPCs. I didn't build my plot with the idea that I was going to get NPCs. I've gotten some. It's probably pretty bare compared to most, but I, I build as if I'm not going to get any of that hard to get decor. Just because if I feel like I'm building around a certain kind of item, then it forces me to either spend money or spend lots and lots of time to acquire that. It's a little bit frustrating there, and I can see how other people would be that way. Um, I really think the biggest problem for me is alts, though. Okay, so I'm gonna try and place this bed, and so I'm gonna grab a piece of glass here. I used to not do it like this on, all the time, but I've discovered that it's probably the safest for me. It's just easier. So I've already made the sets. I've got one of the side table, the nightstand or whatever you want to call it, and I've got one of the bed, and I've got one of the operation game that we made because I'm going to add that to the toy shop. Um, so the bed, I'm going to double check, make sure I got everything. Looks like I'm good to go. Oops. Yeah, I should be good. So I'm going to say relocate to where I'm standing now, and then I'm going to move off. That's a big old hunky bed. Well, then, if they did that, Maddie, I'd want it the other way around too. Shop exclusive items to also be available in game for those that are willing to sweat for it. I think people would be pretty upset if, um, yeah, Tiki, that's one thing I don't enjoy. Well, it's not that I don't like leveling, it's just the questing becomes a little monotonous for me. I guess I guess that's the problem for me anyway. That's probably one of the reasons why it takes me so long. Most of my alts are 3 because I only get them up to housing and then I call it done. Like finito. We don't want to work on it anymore. I mean, it took me like 2 months, I think it was, to get my little Chua up to level 14. That was so sad. I actually managed the NA one for my Orin. I got her up in, I think it was just under a week. I haven't even started the Dominion one yet. Uh, Yeah, Zodi. Well, that's partly what I've been doing with my husband. He's kind of gotten into the housing and not the housing, but the WildStar game itself a little bit. Um, now that Diablo's season 6 has popped up, he's been kind of preoccupied with that. So we really haven't done any leveling or questing in WildStar together lately. But um, uh, it's just one of those things where, you know, it's more entertaining, but we go at different paces, and it never fails. If we're questing, um, he'll go one direction, I'll go a different one, and it's if there's like a tunnel, like if we're in a cave and there's a left and a right, we always choose opposite directions. So it's frustrating because he never stays close, and I'm always having to chase around trying to follow him, and it's just, I don't know. That's probably why I tend to, I guess I didn't copy that middle one, so I'm going to just place that again so that it's all straight. Oops, looks like I need to lower that just a little bit more. Is that? But that's weird. It changed the one ice block to that other one. That's strange. I was like, what is that? I don't remember anything blue on the bed. I guess that has something to do with Katya's add-on and the two ice rock blocks having the same name. That was weird. Yeah, exactly, Ducky. And it's so frustrating too, because and it's almost funny because I'll purposely stop and I'll think he's gonna go left, he's gonna go left, he's gonna go left, and I'll go left and he goes right. And I don't know. It's like we're not in sync when it comes to. It's like if we're doing a quest and he doesn't do it in like order. He doesn't do like clockwise or counterclockwise. He just goes all over, and it's like this. It's not organized, son. You're driving me nuts here. Yeah, exactly, mate. I tend to just quest, and plus, he likes doing dungeons and stuff, and I'm not really fond of that. I prefer questing to level my character up. So we usually end up at a certain point, we kind of break off. It was the same way in WoW. Uh, he preferred leveling through the dungeons and things, and I was like, man, it's not for me. And it's probably because there's more people, and it's not that I'm not sociable, but it's just, I don't know. I don't want to get involved in the drama because usually there's always like, where is my table shop? Is it downstairs? Hmm. Let's see, is this it? No, that's cabinets. Um, it's just, I don't know. Before it was like there was loot drama, people rolling on things that they probably shouldn't have rolled on, and I just got to the point where I didn't want to. Where is my tables? I'll just put the nightstand with the cabinets here, I guess. There's only two things here. What about the community effort as far as Carbine supporting the housing community in specific? Is there things you guys think that they should be doing or could be doing? They've done housing competitions in the past, at least the one, I think. Was it just the Shades Eve one, I think? Sometimes I get confused about the community-driven ones. just keep flipping it around. And if they do more competitions, how would you uh, would how would you want them? You know, do you like the way that they run the past housing competitions, or do you think there should be some changes made? Um, for me, I kind of understand why they don't put in as much, because you know, people talked about how when there was the bunch of layoffs, how small their little team was, and us asking them to be even more involved in either maintaining screenshot pages or spotlight pages or whatever. That means more manpower that has to be dedicated to that kind of area, and maybe they just don't have that freedom to offer that. Yeah, I saw somebody else suggest that, Maddie. Put me out of business. But I know they've done some tours in the past. I think it was actually just tied to their to the housing competition they toured. But I don't know, maybe it's just me, and I don't mean to be mean, but I hated the way they did the tours because they would go ooh and ah about the fab kits and completely run past something that was custom, and it just irked me to no end. I was like, no, why didn't you look at the other stuff? They're just like going ooh and ah about the wrong things. I don't know. I think I would be too frustrated to watch if they did it like that. You know, if they, you know, made sure that they were paying attention to the right things. I think that just shows the same way with the gameplay when we were watching some of them play. You could tell that they hadn't been around it too much, or it's like taking my husband through some of the houses that I've toured in the past. Um, uh, I'll like say, you know, look at this, you know, thing, and he'll be like, eh. I was like, you don't know how much work this person put into it because that's piece by piece that they had to make this. And now that he's gotten a taste of it himself, trying to put together a few things on his plot, he's a little bit more appreciative of the work that's gone into it, and he kind of accepts that, you know, maybe that's not, you know, fab kit stuff. But yeah, the last few times I saw them tour some things, I was like, they were amazed about the wrong things. Yeah, Maddie, that's another thing. I think they're really lacking in as far as planning ahead. I think I know a lot of people have been asking for like a calendar, like for these, even just for the, like the sim chase events and the dungeon events and the boss hunter. Um, they like give us like a week's notice, and for a lot of people, those kind of notices for that type of event works great. But for housing, people take months to plan and build, and they really just uh, need to think about that. I don't think that's, again, I think it's because maybe they haven't delved into it as deeply as some of us and aren't aware of the requirements or the possibility that someone would take that long. It's not like you can just kind of spit that out in a matter of minutes, a full plot. Hey, Poi, good morning. And grats on the package arriving. I was so happy to hear that. So that's everybody's prizes uh, that have arrived safely. I'm very delighted, and that's a big relief off of my shoulders. So, yeah, I'm very happy to hear that it arrived. Okay, so I keep talking and get distracted. I'm not a very good multitasker here, so let's try the nightstand. Let me double check, make sure I got everything. Looks okay. So we're gonna do relocate. Now I probably could have gotten a little bit more detailed and added like some handles to the little shelves here, little drawers or whatever, but I didn't bother. Because I'm lazy like that. I'm gonna shrink this down just a little bit. But this is meant to accompany that bed that we put down earlier. Have one on either side, and this would be like where you put your lamp and stuff, and then the drawers would be facing the bed so that you have a place to put your glasses or get a book or whatever. Have you already knitted your WildStar hat? I know you were pretty delighted at Mr. Darcy's hat. Okay, now, where's the toy shop? Where did I put that thing? I think it's upstairs on the left. Yes. My ugly little doll. Need to give her some new clothes because that little dress is pretty bad. Okay, so getting my handy dandy glass back out. Oops. How many S's? Oh yeah, I actually, when I was touring some homes on Dominion side the other day before the tours, I actually came across one, and it really is huge. It's a really big space. The only thing I figure folks will probably be fussy about it, it is curved. I know a lot of people seem to have trouble building with a house that has curves in it, kind of like the Oren house and the Chua house. And even the starter exile home is rounded. Um, but yeah, uh, it's pretty expansive. I've been tempted to get it. I just don't know where to put it. Um, Most of my homes are some type of custom house on top, so I really don't use the standard homes anymore. Um, so I don't know if anything, I probably would have been tempted to maybe, because I already kind of turned my one house into kind of a hugel house. It was the granite version, and I added the hugels on the side, so I already have my aviary bird house. It's just you can't go inside it. I purposely blocked it off, but I don't know. We'll see. It's like I have a lot of things I've purchased. I got the smokes and the fires. I also got a set of uh, the hills, and they're just sitting in my account inventory. I haven't claimed them on anybody because it's one of those things. Once you claim it, it's there. There's no moving it, and I'm just hesitant on, you know, definitively putting on one person because then it's stuck there. Okay, so now we're going to place the operation game. I'm going to double check. And this is a whopping, it's an expensive build. I didn't realize it at the time, but it's one of those things where you kind of, in hindsight, you don't want to know how much you spend on it. But I can see right here, this is about 95 gold for this silly thing. Yeah, I can always buy more, but still. That's why I'm thankful these aren't limited time, or from what they seem to be, they're not marked as limited, which is good because eventually I'll get, more omnibits and I might be willing to drop a few off at different places, but like the limited time stuff, like the spring decor pack or the Valentine pack, I've been really hesitant to place them anywhere because I feel like I'll regret it later. Grind up them. I tell you, that is one good thing about leveling is the omnibits. It's shared among all your characters, so even if you're leveling an alt, it becomes part of the larger sum. So that is one way I've been able to grind up so much with my husband working on that. Yeah, that is a good idea, Maddie, about turning it into square. I've done that with a few of the smaller builds, like I think the Oren House. I did that once, uh, way back when people were fussing about it. It's a little bit more confined than the birdhouse probably will be, because that thing is definitely huge. I like the little upper floor that they give you. It's all curvy and it's got the little hole. At least I assume that was part of it. I don't think it was something that the person built in. But okay, so let's put this ugly operation game in here in the toy shop. Let's see, I'm going to check real quick how many pieces. That's 200 and something pieces. Do I have enough room for that? Ooh, it's going to be, I don't know. I think I might hit my cap trying to do that. I may hold off on that because I don't want to give it an error and go boom and have it just swig out on me. I'll have to check and see if there's something I can remove before I do that. Because I'd like to work on the painting as well, which I probably should have stayed up there. Whoops. Let's work on the painting a little bit. The only thing that annoys me with this at the moment is because of the wind, the mossy bits kind of go a little nuts here and there. Yeah, I thought that was the case, Rhoda, and thanks for clarifying that. And welcome to people sneaking in. I know I've got lurkers too, so hello to lurkers. But if you can kind of get past the moss moving, I think it's kind of shaping up a little all right. It's just when it disappears, it kind of looks a little weird. Now, I used the mossy hut from the Skeech version for part of this, but I went ahead and crafted up some thinker heads because the huts are a little bit more difficult to get a hold of. But I'm hoping that the thinker heads will have kind of the same look. Basically, I'm just going for all shades of green and just kind of layering it in, trying to make some interesting shapes and bits. Yeah, I want the mushrooms to be down at the bottom. Wow, that just like twirled all over the place, didn't it? And I liked the mossy hut because at the bottom it kind of has like a little bit of some stones and stuff. But I don't know how, it's hard to kind of give like a, not ethereal, but kind of a hazy look. Because even if you put the glass in, the glass is kind of really lightly colored, and the more you layer it, the whiter it becomes, even if it's of a color, a specific color, it just starts turning white. Really, Zoe, I guess maybe I missed the boss trains or something because I would come in and like nobody was doing them. Also could be just because we're on EU side, I don't know. These work really good for a dark green, the mossy overgrowth, but again, they're kind of tough to get a hold of. So maybe not something you wanna work with. But I need something, let's see. I need some brown in here, but I'm not quite sure how I want to achieve that. If I want to use the sticks off of this, see, that's going to be kind of awkward because I don't think that's going to work like I want. What I'd like is, let's see, I'm gonna look in the plants and stuff. Oh yeah, well NA, the highest character I have is 14. I don't think she would be equipped to go go on a little stint with the bosses. I think she might go squishy just looking at them. Another thing about using plants and stuff, a lot of them, like the mossy ones, they have a lot of movement, and I don't really want a lot of that in this painting if I can avoid it. And I want to avoid using decor that isn't available anymore either. Let's go to the vendor just to see what we got, because it's safer to look there. Haven't used that yet. Let's see what that looks like. Goodness gracious, that's huge. Put one of those down. See what else we got. Kind of bluish. That's really expensive. Maybe, these are kind of pricey too, but maybe we can get away with some of those as well. I'll put that down and this one. I don't know, I think tapping him would probably kill her. She was like, and I would think it would be very dangerous for a Lobi. Besides, I thought you had to get a percentage of DPS on there to have it count. Because I've heard people argue before that, you know, they didn't get credit for the kill even though they were in the group, and some say you don't have to be in the group, and I think it's still gonna be way too big. I like the shroomies, but I just don't know. they're gonna look right. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, this thing's gonna be like very motiony. What I may end up doing is moving some of this darker bit into the back and have the other bits overlay it. I'll have to see if I can get a hold of some more of those. Because I like the color of it, it's just trying to figure out so many pieces. Trying to get the green in front of the brown because I want to block all of this off. I only want this to look sandy, like there's a path in but I want the forest to be pretty thick, but still you can tell pieces. I don't know how to describe that. That won't work. Yeah. Try it this way, I guess. Oh yeah, I've been tweeting the pictures you've been sending out on Twitter, like the staircase and stuff. That's about as all I've seen. I really have to carve out some time so that I can tour some of the houses over there. You know, I'm not talking tours on the stream, but just for me to go and have a look at some of the homes over there on NA's side, because I've just been kind of seeing, you know, screenshots and videos that other people have made and not being able to see it up front. I think it just, screenshots and stuff are great, but they just don't capture the full effect of a home until you actually go and take a look for yourself. So I really need to carve out some time to go do that. Because there's like Adelon's places and your places and Pui's and Flowers piano shop and just a bunch of other places that I know off the top of my head that I'd really like to go look at. I just haven't had the time. The past, I say, couple weeks or so, I've been doing other things outside of the games, so I've barely had time to even log in for my daily. Don't ask me what I'm doing, I'm just patching things together. Maybe that's what they mean by a natural build. I just kind of, I'm one of those, if I actually tried to do painting, I'd probably be one of those that I really enjoy, like dipping a ball in paint and just kind of throwing it at the canvas or something. Be awesome if, you know, you made like money doing that. That would be the ultimate dream. Oh, like the ice splotch? Yeah, I usually just pretend it's like some kind of purple gooey, like slushy or something. What would you use them for? Just different kinds of spills? That's usually what I use it for, is like I've spilled something. Oh, splatter paintings. Well, I figured someone would want to make like, you know, like your laser arena. If you wanted to do like a paintball arena, then you could make it look like they've been shooting paintballs on opposing sides. That's the only thing that comes into mind other than spills. That's what I use it mostly for. Cheeky's going, there's so many pieces to this thing, it's gonna be incredibly expensive to build. But I've been wanting that for just about all of our basic building blocks, though, like walls and stuff. I really would love to, have some bold, like primary colors of everything. Because, how many times have you said, I need something red and round? And you end up having to use that balloon that goes nuts now, or the chair, the stool, which turns green when you mouse over it and kind of throws things off, or that you needed something white. Now that we have the ice block or ice rock blocks, the arches and the cornerstones and stuff, that's a little bit solved, but if you're using something for really small details, those things disappear pretty fast. Um, but I mean, how many times have you needed something green or something blue or something red or something white or even just stark black? You have to really hunt and peck on items that fit, that has the right shape, um, and doesn't have too much excess that you have to hide. Um, we have the banana. That's one of the reasons why I resort to the banana a lot when I need something yellow, like on my candies and stuff. Uh, I know the balloon is often favored, but since the wind has changed on our plots, that's kind of gone out the door. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. So, like, if our floors, like, not just orange floor and everything, but if we could paint those primary colors, of course it'd probably be, well, that's not the right shade of green or that's not the right shade of red, but uh, just a little bit more variety. I think that would be awesome. Or having different patterns like bricks. How many times have you wanted a brick house, but we don't really we have that pile of bricks, and I've seen some people use it in certain ways that it worked, but it's not as convenient as if a wall had the brick pattern. I don't like that. Yeah, well, the only way you could probably get a flat green is if you use that the upside down. Well, if you just use the was it the Celestion ground cover with no clutter. But as for like a solid green, like, I'm sure a lot of people would have loved green for like their pool tables and things, but you just don't have that. There's really not any that, that's why we end up going with just silver or brown, or I've seen some use the, looks like red velvet using the exile things, but maybe some of them want green. You just can't do that. White has been my biggest thing. I've resorted to using a lot of those folded towels for a lot of mine. So I've grown to loathe the boxing fab kit. It's Not that it's difficult to get, it's just time consuming. Yes, you did, Tiki. And that's kind of what gave me the idea for the Protostar dude on the game. Is I remembered you used that for green, and I thought, I wonder if I could use that, and sure enough, that worked like a charm. It's just, you know, you have to have the ability to hide all that, the rest of it that you don't want seen. And for like a custom house on the second floor, you can't use that unless you cleverly disguise the bit that's going through the floor there. So, you know, like we have the domes, but I would love to have round discs of different colors and textures and stuff. And glass. Round discs of glass, that would be fun. Be great for windows and tables and who knows what. Whoa, that's like too big. Yeah, exactly. This would mean all of like the basic building blocks, like the floors, the domes, the all the 2x4s, metal edged and stuff included. Even the hover park pieces. I think all of those should come in different colors and textures. I mean, think about what you could do using just the hover park pieces if they came in glass, if they came in bright colors like white and red and blue and green. Um, there would be just so many things you could think of doing for those. But you'll just have to keep dreaming for the time being. I hate these that keep moving. I really wanted to avoid that, and I may find another way to do this, but let's try that again. Well, just think, you know, uh, how many times have you wanted? It's like you know, I know people really want new decor, but I would be so happy if they just gave us some recolorings of some of the decor that we already have, like the curtains. We've had the white and the red for so long, you know, who wouldn't want to have some like checker pattern or lemon yellow looking ones, or you know, to give, you know, different decorations to your window treatments in your house. Something as simple as that. I don't know. Maybe we ask too much. You think that's the case? We expect too much. We are like demanding little divas, building divas. Excuse me. There's probably a lot of things I'm just covering up that you won't ever see and don't really need. But when it comes time to make the set, I will probably individually pick everything so that I'm only picking what's actually showing, just to make sure that I'm not putting excess stuff in there that's really not necessary. Now, I don't try to overload. But I'm really wanting lots of variation in shades of the green and stuff, so that there's a lot of shadows and things like that. And I can't seem to get that just putting one down. I gotta like put a bunch down. And I kind of want this to kind of be so overgrown that it's like almost like a arch. But I'm not quite sure how I want to pull that off. So annoying that that thing keeps moving. Sorry if I'm going quiet, I'm just super concentrating. Again, I'm very bad at multitasking here. Sort of kind of coming along. I need to fill this area up because I want the focus to be kind of in the center down the path. I'm probably going to get some more dark pieces. I'm hunting peck, see if I can find some things that work. And again, Tiki, once you get this, you're not going to have all this excess back here, because I assume you're going to put it on a nice thick wall. Anywho, I think we're going to call it for today. I got some things I got to take care of. There's a pile of dishes waiting for me. I can't put them off any longer. But among other things. But thank you guys for joining. Just a reminder, I won't be here tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment that is going to send me out of town, so there won't be a stream tomorrow. I'm probably not even going to tweet to that fact. So I'm just going to assume that those of you that are here are probably the only ones actually watching anyway. So I'll just say I won't be here tomorrow, but we will be back next week, of course. And again, just another reminder for those of you working on your CBDC projects, you have until basically the 30th. We're going to do the showcase on the 31st, so I need the pertinent info before that. Just make sure you mention what region, faction, the character name that it's on, and whereabouts on the plot that it's located. This month's theme is games, which pretty much gives you freedom to do just about anything, from board games, arcade games, carnival games, lawn games. We've seen all sorts already, so yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for joining. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of nothing that we did. But I certainly enjoyed the discussion. It's good to talk about housing and where you stand on it, what things you'd like to see added. And definitely, if you feel compelled, there's always the features and decor wish list. I know it's like a mile long and it's probably been repeated over and over, but if there's something you adamantly want added or improved upon, feel free to drop a note there, or strike up your own thread, or find one that's specifically about that particular feature or item, and let your voice be heard, because, you know, the more people that talk about it and ask for it, the more Carbine is aware that it's a very popular request, and then possibly, maybe, kind of, sort of, it will be more likely to be something that they would consider down the road, if not sooner. So yeah, thanks guys for joining, and I'll see you next week. Until then, have a great weekend, and see you later. Bye-bye.